Hello everyone, welcome to day 4 of this Pranic feast. Hello Facebook world, which is where I'm streaming this to again. If you're new to this channel, if you've been watching these videos, thank you so much for joining me in this journey. If you enjoy the content, then please feel welcome to like, to share, to comment. I love hearing your thoughts and your experiences with juicing, fasting, feasting, Breatharianism, Pranic living. But we're on day 4. I have about just over an hour and a half, so 90 minutes left until I'm going to break this 3.5-day Pranic feast with a very delicious and delightful coconut water. I think I'm going to break it with. But that will be part of our closing water ceremony, which I'll be doing once again with the Pranic family who have hosted this program, this free donation-based program. So I'll be joining them in just over 90 minutes. But I wanted to come live here today to share how I'm feeling, because I know this is very new to pretty much everyone watching this. Every comment I've read, no one really has maybe done a Pranic feast before. No one perhaps has, or it seems that way. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to hear if you've come across a Breatharian before, or someone who is enjoying that pranic nourishment in a lighter form. But I'm here in my kitchen because I also thought you could help me with preparing my juice for the week. So I'm going to be juicing, cutting up anyway. I'm not going to be juicing. It's a little bit too noisy to do that. Some watermelons. I've got 3 watermelons here I'm going to dice as well. I might put an apron on for that because they're quite messy. But yeah, so day 4, and what wonderful questions you've brought the past 3 days. And each day we've answered the questions from the day before. Now, I had a question about what breathing practices do I use to cultivate chi, to cultivate that prana. So I'm going to share a few with you. One of which I posted on my page a week ago. That was the 4-fold breath. Now, what we know about the body is that the majority of illnesses, of diseases, come from a lack of oxygen. A lack of oxygen. Because as we know through this process, this pranic process, is that the body will create its own water. It's a complete ecosystem, right? It will create its own water. I think a few people were surprised when I said, I'm waking up in the morning after going to bed at night. I'm waking up in the morning and I'm still urinating, and I'm not drinking anything. So where's that water coming from? It's coming from the cells, the body is creating it. I'm doing a soft, dry fast, so I'm still showering, I'm not staying in the shower too long because the skin will drink the water, which is great. But the intention for me, I wanted to do a little bit of a detox, as well as help my body remember, as well as open myself up to whatever in my mind, whatever shadows may wish to come through, whatever emotions may wish to release, whatever my organs needed. Because we know that if we fast, if we dry fast for at least 2 days, the body will heal itself. It will destroy the malfunctioning cells and it will heal itself. Right? So I'm actually going to kind of pivot here on the topic I was going to speak of first, and actually just go to this one point, because this was something that was brought up by a very beautiful, very wise soul. It was brought up to me on email, and I wanted to just address this because it's actually really important to discern, to really know the difference between fasting and pranic nourishment. So let's start there. Fasting is a detox. It's an ancient method of detox. It is in every holy book that there is, and the original holy scriptures, not the modern day ones, not the King James Bible and stuff like that, which have been altered through centuries and altered to ego, but the original, like the original Bible, the original Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, all of these holy books, which are the mystery schools in scripture, if we can see through what is being shared, if we can see through, because these books were written with the understanding that those with the heart where it needs to be, with the eyes open, the ears to hear, eyes to see, will understand the teachings. And in every one of those books there is fasting. There is a fasting process. You see that with every walking master as well. They are able to not only fast, but they're able to pranically nourish. So what's the difference? Well, let's start with this statement. If a man or woman starves themselves, they will perish, they will die. That's the truth. If you starve yourself for long enough, you will die. And not you, all of who you are, not you, the non-physical, but the body will. Because the body needs nourishment, but we can nourish ourselves through prana. This is a big but, because this is where, when people try this and it goes wrong, this is where it comes from, is because they are just laying there. They're just going to bed, they're just laying there and just going, I'll wait for the 3 days to be over. They're not doing it right, you know? And it's really interesting because they're in a mindset which is very limited, right? We want to be in a mindset that is nourishing. So fasting is depleting the body, right, in order to detox it. So you've got different fasts. You've got water fast, juice fast, dry fast. Now a water fast will operate quicker perhaps than certain other things, and if you were just going onto liquids. But it's going to take at least, 10 days on a water fast to actually get any significant detox, like any powerful, potent, significant detox. It only takes 2 days on a dry fast to do that, right? But it's harder in the sense that the mind, the ego, it challenges not only those going through it, but those that are observing it, if you're publicizing it, right? If you're sharing it. It challenges the survival ego in all of us, the ego that believes that we are mortal. We're not. We're immortal. There's eternal life, right? And so this is the main difference, right? So yes, if you want to be healing yourself, yes, do a fast, but it's got to be controlled. It's got to be held. The space has to be held. You don't really want to do this on your own if you're fasting. But if you're nourishing through prana, now this is the difference. Instead of the food, instead of the water, we are breathing, we're doing pranayamas. We're flooding the body with oxygen. We're connecting, combining mind, body, spirit, soul, all of it, with the Holy Spirit or with source energy, whatever you want to call it, with chi, with prana. You're feeling that and letting it embody. You're telling your cells, the cells in your body, you're telling those cells that it's okay to be nourished through prana. Do you know that you're nourishing yourself through prana? Like the air, like we said on day one, the air, it's not empty. Like, people go, oh, there's nothing here. The sky's up there. No, it's all around you. Every single atom, every molecule, every subatomic particle has a whole universe in it. The air is filled with your B12, with your calcium, with your fats and your sugars, every subatomic particle that there is, every atom that there is filled with the universe. It's our focus. It's our superconscious allowing, it's surrendering of the ego to allow the alignment and magnetism to be brought into how it needs to be, right? And this is why we say, the body creates its own water, Now it's really interesting. I was asked about the breathing techniques, and I'm just going to share a little bit more. So because obviously I'm doing this as part of a program, as part of a group, there are workshops every 4 hours for me to choose what to tune into, choose what to do on replay, etc., etc. And I love the breathing ones. That's a big one for me. I love the qigong as well, because that's very much cultivating, that's moving the body, that's cultivating prana. But we have some wonderful people that are teaching pranayamas, so 5 pranayamas, which is the science of breathing, I personally do ovarian breathing. That's a tantric breath. Testicular breathing for the men, and for the women, ovarian breathing. I taught this in the 2-part workshop that I did. You can find that. You can find that on the replay list on my website. But the Ancient Secrets of Sacred Union, I taught that breath practice in those, because that's a very, very powerful one. In the winter, when I did this, when it was very, very cold, I was doing a little bit more of a masculine style breathing. I was doing a fire breath because my body was cold, because it was sub-zero. It was 0 sub-zero in winter. Right now it's midsummer. It's very warm. My body is piping hot. So the breathing that I'm doing is a lot more feminine. It's a lot calmer. through the nose as well, for those that asked that. Thank you, Jennifer. I love your energy too. But yeah, so day four of this 3.5 day dry fast. So an hour and a bit left. How am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling very warm. So like I say, like I can feel my organs, my gut, my torso burning away what it doesn't want, burning away what is redundant. I can feel it doing a detox process. You know, we said in some of the other videos that there are things in our body that we're just unaware of. We just aren't really aware of our bodies in this day and age. And it's really interesting because, you know, our liver, you know, everyone's liver holds emotion. It holds guilt and shame and things like that. And it'll have stones. It'll have, you know, your liver, your kidneys, they'll all have little stones. Like your tonsils, they'll have little tonsil stones. It's a collection of old energy wanting to release. And it's really interesting because you can do like specific cleanses for the liver, for the pancreas, for the kidneys, you know, the colon, etc., etc. And when you clear those, it's really powerful. I can feel in my torso, I can feel my body using that element of fire to burn away what it needs to. And with that, burns away old redundant emotions that have been stored in the waters. It burns away ego programming of my cells, of my DNA. Right? I can feel that happening. And it's beautiful to observe. I'm on day 2 of my sacred bleed. Now, we mentioned this yesterday about the sacred bleed because it's really interesting because there's so many false truths about your menstrual cycle, your bleeding. It's not meant to hurt you guys, right? What we eat or what we're consuming around the time of our bleed is going to determine how it's going to feel, the sensations we're going to have. Now, physiologically, right, you know, yes, you're going to feel a little bit maybe more achy or a little bit more kind of, you know, swollen around the lower back, around the ovaries and, you know, the womb space. So I'm feeling that right now, which is a normal thing to feel, just kind of that awareness of body. But like when I used to have a practice when I lived in Glastonbury, I had this practice of water fasting when I was on my moon time. And it was the most smoothest, fluid moon time, sacred bleed that I would ever have. I'm dry fasting right now and I'm bleeding. And I'm still bleeding as I would normally. And this is the thing, is that the body is creating water still creating it. Even though I'm not drinking it, the body is creating it. It's making it from somewhere. Who am I to question the body? I'm here just to observe. I'm here to observe source energy moving through this being, having an experience. That's what we're all here to do. We take life very personally sometimes, but that's what we're here to do. So it's really quite interesting, right? What have I found challenging up to now? Well, like we were saying, your body is going to detox in this process as well. And the mouth has a lot to detox, the mouth. So you're going to want to brush your teeth, you know. Now, I'm really quite fortunate. I have an ionic toothbrush. So the ionic toothbrushes, you don't need to use toothpaste with it because it works off the polarity of what the plaque and the bacteria versus the teeth, etc., etc. It's very clever. So you don't have to use a toothpaste, which you wouldn't want to do in a pranic feast anyway. But because I'm brushing my teeth and, you know, my tongue and stuff like that, and clearing whatever is detoxing from there, I'm also swilling my mouth out with water. Because water is going in my mouth, the body is thinking, oh, she's gonna drink this and swallow it. Get ready, you guys. And I find that a little challenging because when I spit it out, it's not that I want to swallow it, but because I'm spitting it out, my mouth then goes dry for a couple of hours afterwards, because the body is moving all the water to a different part, to the stomach, because the stomach thinks it's going to get some water. So I find that interesting personally, challenging a little bit. As you can see, I'm doing this a little bit because I just brushed my teeth just over an hour and a bit ago. But that's been the main challenges, is how hot I felt, physically warm in my torso, which is a little bit more new for me, but I've never done a pranic feast at this particular point of midsummer. So with the temperature that it is anyway around, it's understandable. I find it challenging in the winter when I'm doing it in winter when I feel cold. So it's like, it's temperature's a thing that I'm still mastering here. I'm still mastering the regulation of that and feeling comfortable with the fluctuation of that. But yeah, other than that, I've no desire to eat food. I've no desire to do that. I've no hunger. I've no hunger to eat food. I look forward to drinking something. I look forward to my juices. I look forward to sharing the sensations, the tastes perhaps of some foods that I know are going to be coming up later on in the next week or so because of a celebration I'll be going to. So I look forward to partaking in that social experience. But it's even more satisfying to look at that event and go, I'm going to do that through choice. Not because I'm going to feel hungry, not because I think my body needs that food, because I have an awareness of what my body is wanting. I have an awareness of how incredible and efficient it is. Do you guys have any questions, by the way? Please write them down. Because I am going to put my apron on here, because watermelon dicing is quite messy, and I am going to start doing that right now, because I do want to get that prepared. So, did I wrap this up? Ooh, I might have done. I washed my apron and I don't think I let it dry properly. But, okay. We're going to just be chopping some partially frozen, because my fridge is very cold, watermelon, which might make it a little bit less messy, which is quite nice. So, yeah, while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, please ask them. Please ask them. But yeah, if a man or a woman starves themselves, then yes, that body will perish. But we don't want to be starving ourselves. That's not a goal. That's not, there's nothing, noble about that. Oh, great question. Okay. So, question here from the lovely Jennifer. What if you get headaches? What if you get headaches during a dry fast? Well, two things. First, probably not preparing the body how it wants to be prepared. So there's a preparation process, a detox process that you ought to do before going into a dry fast, no matter how long or short it is, because whatever is left in your body, whatever is in your intestines, your small intestine, your large intestine, whatever is in your colon, whatever is in your blood and still being processed by your organs, that is going to want to detox. And if you do all of that only on a dry fast, that is going to be challenging for the body. You will get the headaches. I did a juice feast. Not even really a juice fast, it was a juice feast, because I was drinking a lot of juice for the 4 or 5 days before it. As I shared this yesterday in yesterday's video, but just to recap, I was drinking up to 1 gallon of not only specific juices that my body was asking for, but also coconut water. I was consuming only that, no food. And this was really powerful, because when you get a headache when you're juicing, you know you need to drink more juice. Really, that's how it is. That's when you need to drink more, because your body's detoxing. And that water in the fruit is the purest water that is out there, even more pure than drinking water, you know? So, preparing that way first. Now, if this is the first time, and I shared on day 2 my experience for my first Pranic feast, and I did not prepare well. I kind of stumbled across it. I hadn't done any preparation before. I'd never done a dry fast before. I'd never done juicing before. The maximum I'd ever done was a the frozen part. The maximum I'd ever done was a water fast like the year before when I was in Avalon, or a couple of those. And yeah, so that first Pranic feast was really challenging. I had a lot of healing crises in that Pranic feast. I had the headaches, I had the body responses, my cells needed to obviously as well face the collective false belief that we will die if we don't have water as well. My body needed to face that, and it needed to face the fear of death, because we all do. Anytime you first do this, that is going to be something that will come up, is you have to transcend that illusion of death, because it doesn't exist in the way that we believe it to, right? So the body is more profound than we realize. So yes, if there are detox symptoms, and if there are detox symptoms whilst you're doing this, then you need to be upping your pranic intake. So moving the energy, right? You need to be moving your body. Let it move out, right? So qigong, yoga, running, walking. I climbed up a sand hill the other day just to get to this nice part of a beach. That was a pretty hefty kind of hike on a day 3 of a pranic feast. Or for me it was anyway. But I mean, you know, move the body. Let the body move it, and it'll evacuate the toxins. Oh, Camilla, thank you so much. Guys, I just want to give a shout out actually to Camilla. This gorgeous, beautiful lady, I went on a retreat to Montségur with her in May, the start of May. And it was just absolutely phenomenal. Now, Camilla and I are co-hosting on Wednesday a very dear to both of our hearts online workshop. It's called Atlantis and the Essenes. So we're going to discover and remember that golden thread of the Essenes and where they came from, all the times and spaces that they've really gone through from that Atlantean point. So if it calls to you, if you're on my email list, you'll have just got an email today already about it, but you'll see it on my profile, you'll see it on my website. It is a recorded event, so if you are busy Wednesday evening, which is when it is live, don't worry, we got you. You got the recording as well. But if that calls to you, do tune in. But thank you, Camilla, for jumping on here. It's a really powerful process, and the body is incredible with what it can do if we step aside, if we step the ego aside. That's all it is. This is a mental challenge more than anything else. It's not a... Oh, thank you. Camilla says you're preparing all of us with your fast. Thank you so much. Thank you. It really is. It's a mental thing more than anything. You know, when we have our closing water ceremony in just over an hour, I'll change to wear all white. We have some wonderful mantras that are playing. So just to go back as well to the question from the wonderful Maria, is it in person or is it online? So I've always done it online, actually. So the Pranic family, they're a non-profit organisation, right? So they're a charity. They are intent on helping, especially teenagers, and young adults, really reconnect with self, reconnect with nature, with self, with the simplicity of being. And they're an incredible organisation because they're actually, you know, some of them are in Costa Rica right now building an off-grid community, but we're dotted around everywhere, right? We're dotted around everywhere. So we're online. We have people in various parts of the world, literally, all time zones, participating. But there is always an option to go and join one of the main hosts, wherever they are. So, you know, you could have gone to Costa Rica if you really wanted to, where they're building the huts and the houses and everything to do this. But I always do it online. I just make sure that I'm in my own space, that I don't have anyone else in the home with me. For those that know me, that you know that I've been traveling for a little bit the past couple of years. And sometimes I'm on my own and sometimes I'm not. And I think this watermelon's ready to be diced. So yeah, they're a really incredible group of people. And whenever we do an actual pranic feast as well, we have guest speakers, doctors, scientists, people that have been breatharian for years and years and years, who have just got, you know, centuries of experience between them, holding the satsangs, holding the workshops. So we had yesterday Ray Mauer and Reki, the Breatharian Yogini, and Jerome Shaw. You know, we had them offering their wisdom, and they've been breatharian for years, like absolutely years. Yeah, it's accessible online. Go to pranicfamily.com and just have a little look, you know, because once again, it's a charity. Everything's done by donation. So, you know, yeah, it's really accessible. It's really accessible. But also as well, you'll have people posting free content on there, like qigong sessions and, you know, various different types of it. You know, me and a friend used to run tantric classes on there. You know, my schedule and my commitments have changed a little bit, so I don't put as much content on there now, but it's really cool. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the closing ceremony. It's so nice to actually be, sorry if you've just got a bit of a watermelon now in front of you. I'm just getting all the bits off, and we're gonna get juicing that soon. But I've got 2 more to chop as well, so if you have any other questions, please feel welcome to ask them. This process really is a sacred one. Going back to what we were just saying, it's more of a process of the mind than anything else, because it is the depths of your ego which will convince you that what you're doing needs to stop. It will. That is what your ego will do. It will convince you that you need to have some water. It may even get your body to respond and react, which is on my first pranic feast, that's what happened. I had a big physical response that I had to surrender to. And the more I surrendered, the more intense it got, until it burned through itself. Because once again, fasting on its own is an ancient practice of healing, which has got 100% success rate. Yeah, I'm pausing right there for that reason. Pranic nourishment is even more ancient. This goes back to Atlantis and Lemuria. This goes back to before them. So, different forms of nourishment, moving, being in joy, just being in alignment with source energy. Everything is different as well when you're doing that. Conflicts that may occur, they don't have the same energy, right? And what I mean by that is, if there's any drama that kind of occurs in your life, you can have a very level-headed, very grounded take on it, really. It doesn't have to impact or compound on a trauma, which is for most people what happens when we have like a disagreement with someone, or when something like that happens, because usually, if you're on this path, you are practicing also self-observation. You're practicing observing the emotions but not identifying with them. You're practicing observing the mind but choosing what resonates, choosing the thoughts that feel good. You're practicing the self-realization. Most people in the world aren't doing that actively. We're reacting to it rather than proactively, doing that. So there's a lot to be said about anyone that does any type of practice, not necessarily just this program, but anyone that is doing any type of detox, really. Any type of pranic practice, meditation, breathwork, yoga, qigong, a martial art even, something disciplined, something that will offer them the discipline that they actually really need, because we need that. We thrive with discipline. We thrive with structure, I should say. I actually do a video on that in a couple of days. That'll come out. But we thrive on structure because our masculine energy needs that within us. Our masculine energy needs to be able to focus, right? It wants to focus, it wants to create with the feminine energy as well. We can't just be flowing all the time in this feminine energy. We have to be able to focus it in. We have to be able to ground as well. This process to me is very grounding. It's very strengthening. I feel very strong. Apart from the sensations of my moon time, which are just usual sensations, and that's just, that can be helped with some stretching of my lower back, I feel very strong. And it's so funny because we were joking actually on the call yesterday. We were joking about, for the people that don't eat, if they don't eat, and sometimes I might just have some nuts or some fruit, like something physical, just to help me sleep, because that's what food actually is. It's a sedation. It sedates us, because our body needs to focus on all the energy on actually digesting. So it's quite funny, really. But I'm just going to hold the space if there's any other questions for right now. Otherwise, I'm probably going to hang up the live and just get on with chopping and juicing the other 2 watermelons that I have here. Preparation for all the watermelon juice I'm gonna enjoy this week. I like to mono juice personally, not overcomplicate the juices. So if I'm feeling called to watermelon, I'm gonna have just watermelon. If I have grape, sometimes I'll put lime with it, like grape and lime. It's really good for the body. The kidneys love it. You know, pineapple, I'll either have on its own. Sometimes I put it with ginger and green apple, like I did last week. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with the pineapple yet. I'll wait to see. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone that has been watching. Thank you so much for your love, for your support, for your curiosity. And I welcome your questions. I welcome your comments. And if you're not subscribed on my email list and you feel like you wish to be, you know, that's where a lot of the information comes out for any events that may be held and things like that. So yeah, you can just go to Alice Heath, Aliceheath.com to discover more about me or about anything that I may be able to offer you. But for now, with love from my heart, from the one true heart, thank you. In Lakesh, namaste, and I'll see you soon.